Hey everybody, Brandon Boyd with The Brandon Boyd Show. Thank you so much for watching. This episode's going to be a lot of fun today. I'm really excited to do this because I've only done it one other time on the channel, alright? I'm going to be doing a reaction to one of Dave Ramsey Show's clips. It was on YouTube, this was sent to me by a viewer, and they wanted to get my honest reaction on it, so I'm going to take a look at it, give you my honest thoughts on it. I'm not 100% sure what the video is, but we're going to record it and see what comes out, alright? This is going to be a lot of fun. Before we get going, if you find this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to be awesome, give me a big thumbs up on the video, and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications for alerts. For those of you that don't know, alright, this is a little insider tip for those that may not know me that well. Although I talk about credit cards, points, miles, finance, and everything in between on this channel, I was actually at one time a Dave Ramsey financial coach, alright? I actually went down to the Nashville area in Tennessee and trained in his offices with his staff, met and talked to Dave, met him several times. Very nice guy, but what he really prides himself on is keeping people out of debt, keeping people away from credit cards, and he utilizes his 7 baby steps to help get people out of debt. He's written several best-selling books, and he also has a course called Financial Peace University, which is something that I still have all the tools to be able to teach myself, all right? So I've been through the program. I know Dave Ramsey inside and out. I can usually predict what he's going to say before he even says it, because if there's nothing else that you know about Dave, he's very consistent, and he said the same thing for the last 30 years on his radio show, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to react to a clip that was sent to me on YouTube here. This clip is called, let me see, it's called I Can't Let Go of My Credit Cards Because of Their Rewards. All right, so my guess is that there's a caller that's calling in and saying this, or they've sent him an email or something saying that, you know, they like their credit cards because of the rewards. We'll see what his reaction is. If I'm predicting what's going to happen, of course I'm going to say this, it's going to be totally wrong, but if I'm going to predict probably something that he's going to talk about, it's going to be the friction in a transaction, meaning that using cash usually means that you won't spend as much on a particular transaction because you're thinking more about it. And there's a lot of studies that indicate when you pay for something using cash, you're more aware of it and you may not spend as much. Whereas if you use like a credit card or even a debit card, there's actually some literature on that as well. Anytime you eliminate that friction of using cash, you'll actually end up spending somewhere between 10-15% more, maybe a little bit more than that actually. So my guess is that will be highlighted quite a bit, and I bet he trashes rewards points quite a bit. That's just a prediction. We'll have to see how this goes, but I'm going to hit play. Keep in mind that everything that I say in here is coming from the perspective of someone that knows his material and his show inside and out. I've spent hours and hours listening to his radio show. So let's go ahead and get into it here. I'm going to go ahead and screen record here. We're going to hit play, and let's just see what happens. This should be very interesting.
Today's question comes from Scott in Vermont. I know your company teaches to never use credit cards, but I'm having a hard time letting go of mine. The rewards that I earn are very beneficial to my family because we love to travel. My wife and I put all our utilities, groceries, and other expenses on our card and pay it off every month. What's the problem with doing this if we never pay any interest on the card? This is an age-old question, Dave. How many times have you...
All right, so before we get going again, so this did come in from a question from a viewer. It's not a phone call, apparently. So my guess is he's going to say that credit cards actually do end up costing you some form of money, whether it's interest or not, doesn't really matter. He may mention something about the annual fees, I'm not sure. But my guess is he's going to say in the long run it does cost you more. Let's see.
answered this one?
6,000 or 8,000. But the thing is, you just did a great episode on the fine print about this.
I'm not sure who
Yes,
this other
we did
guy
one
is, by
on
the way.
credit card rewards. And
The numbers are worse than I remembered.
Yeah, the true cost of credit card rewards is what that episode was called. And we talked to an ex-Capital One lady named Elena, and she really unpacked the secrets that they're using to take your money. And a lot of people think, well, I'm not paying any interest, so what's the big deal, Dave?
Yeah.
I'm not paying any more than I would have if I paid on it with a debit card.
Well,
All right, first of all, he is right. The people at Capital One are good at making money. They make a lot on transaction fees and people that don't pay their bills off on time. So it's not against the law for companies to want to make money. That's actually a good thing. It's what makes the economy work. And all those investments that you have in your 401k are in companies that are hopefully there to turn a profit. But let's see where Dave goes.
obviously, that's not true. Okay, you're not paying any interest. But here's what we know from the studies. Carnegie Mellon did a detailed study.
I know this one.
And using MRI, and they actually determined that when you use cash, it activates the pain centers of the brain. When you use plastic, nothing happens, no brain. But but I mean, it's just left flatline, right? And so what it amounts to is you emotionally experience buying something and have a tendency to spend less when you spend cash. Visualize, everybody listening right now, a $100 bill in your hand leaving your hand. Oh, God! Right? And visualize you handing... Here's an interesting thing, too. Rachel Cruz brought up years ago.
Let me say this real quick. He's mentioning using cash. I don't use any cash. At one time, I was just on strictly a debit card. I had no credit cards whatsoever. And the same information still applies with credit cards as debit cards, okay? If it's plastic and you're removing the emotion from the transaction, it doesn't matter whether it's a debit or a credit card. It's a piece of plastic that you hand to a vendor and then they give it back to you, and there's not really any loss there, right? Whereas with cash, you hand it to them and it's completely gone. So he is correct in that, but I think debit cards act the same way, and the literature that's come out says something very similar in terms to debit cards. Again, it's about lessening the friction of the transaction and just making it easier to go ahead and make the purchase. But let's keep going.
When you hand them the $100 bill, they don't give you it back. When you hand them your plastic, they give it back. Think about when you were a kid or something and you were trading. You traded something. Or when you give up something to get something. That's what you do when you pay for something with money. But when you give them your card, they give it back. You didn't lose anything. See how that feels psychologically? So it doesn't activate the pain centers of the brain, plus cash just does. And so here's what all the studies tell us. Depending on the area and the item you're shopping for, you will spend 12 to 18% more when using plastic than you will when using cash.
I think I said 10 to 15, so I was pretty close.
That's when using a credit card. When using a debit card, you'll even spend more. I use a debit card, but you'll spend more. I'll give you another example, okay? George.
All right. See, that's really important right there, all right? He is self-admitting that he uses a debit card, okay? He uses a debit card for transactions, full on knowing that there is an increase in spending associated with debit cards just like there is with credit cards. So it's really interesting to hear him talk about how valuable cash is and how everyone should use cash, but he himself uses a debit card, which is statistically proven to show that you still end up spending as much as you do with a credit card. So I think there's a little bit of a hole in the logic there. I hope you understand where I'm coming from there, but that part doesn't really make sense to me. Let's see where this goes.
You old enough to remember walking inside the store to pay for your gasoline?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, before you'd paid at the pump. Okay? Let me tell you what happened the last time people had to walk inside and pay for gasoline, and it doubled in price.
I actually remember this.
There was almost a revolution. They were going to burn Washington, D.C. down. Now it goes from $2.50 to $5, and nobody notices. Because you just plug it in the thing, pay for your gas, and walk away. The only thing you notice is you didn't seem like I got that much gas. Oh, that's weird. Okay, and you drive off.
It's the case with a lot of things right now.
If you walk into the store, the physical act of walking into the store and pay cash, and that registers that freaking gas is doubled. I'm going to kill somebody. You start to have this experience. And so that, again, shows us that there's a behavior mechanism going on. You can take it one step further. Move away from plastic. Use to Apple Pay or Amazon Prime, where there's no friction at all. I mean, you're not even touching something physically. You're just waving your, you go to Home Depot and you wave your little phone across, and you just bought like a house of lumber, but you just waved your phone. You didn't emotionally experience it.
No.
Right? I just bought tools. I don't even know what they do.
What's really funny is I actually use Apple Pay all the time with my cards, so I can totally relate to this when I go to the store. I think it's really cool. I'm kind of a tech nerd myself, so to me it's really cool whenever you have your phone with you, you can just double click for Apple Pay, and it works out really well. And it's really funny too because I've got Apple Pay on my watch as well. So if I want to be super nerdy and I really want to geek out at the store, I'll pull the old trick on the watch and just put it up to pay as well. So it's kind of interesting to see him talk about that because it's 100% true. There's actually an oddly satisfying feeling when you're using electronic payments like that. It makes you feel like you're on the cutting edge. Probably stupid, probably just a tech nerdy thing that I'm into, but I absolutely love it.
I just waved my little phone across.
I do it with my Apple Watch.
Oh, yeah, it's even worse.
Here's what I do, Dave. You're going to love this. Starbucks drive-through line. You got the watch, and you just hand it over like a tiny king, and they kiss your wrist as they scan it. And you get your $7
Tiny
latte.
king will have a mocha.
Exactly.
Okay, that is pretty funny.
Kiss my wrist.
You can't beat it. That's the Starbucks experience.
That's what it feels
That's why
like.
people go, to feel like royalty.
Well, I have noticed that with the Dunkin' Donuts app that I buy more donuts too. But
That's how it works.
It's the same thing because you don't have to pay for it. It's already paid for. It's built in.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A, you can eat like half the dadgum restaurant and not even know you bought it. So the point being, guys, everybody falls
Very
for this
true.
stuff. I teach it and I catch myself falling for it. That's why Disney lets your room key, if you're staying on property, work to buy things all through Disney.
Smart.
That way they can charge you $82 for a raincoat they paid 12.5 cents for from China because Disney causes it to rain every afternoon on.
Yeah, we're going to have to look into that. I do think Disney makes it rain just enough for you to buy those raincoats. But that is a really big key, especially even on the Disney cruises, right? Your room key, your wristbands at the park and everything like that. You just sit and spend and spend and spend, and before you know it, you get your bill at the end, and it's just a absolutely ridiculous amount. So Disney is very smart in that sense. They do a really good job. And it's funny to see Dave see that he self-admits that he still has to catch himself. But again, he uses debit cards a lot knowing that he's going to spend more. So pretty big hole there in his argument. Let's see where he goes and see if he clarifies that a little bit.
But, and it's built right into the system. $9 ice cream cone, right? But your room key did it, and you don't even think anything about it. It's the happiest place on earth. And then you go to check out, and you're like, oh, my God, I got to refinance the house. It's like, so this is what's going on. So that's the problem with his little theory.
I've been there.
Is he thinks he's the exception to all that because he got some airline miles. Here's the other thing. 78% of the airline miles are never redeemed. That's 8 out of 10.
That's sad.
That's everybody, okay? So if you do try to redeem them, Jupiter has to be aligned with Mars to get on the plane. I mean, you have to get the age of Aquarius to get everything to work out.
There's all kinds of restrictions on those points.
Exactly.
And that
Okay, hold your horses here. All right, so a couple of things here real quick. First of all, he mentions the stat that 78% of airline points, or I'm assuming he's just meaning points in general, are never redeemed for anything. Let me answer that first, I think, by saying that, myself, I probably don't use more than 20% of my points, but it's because I'm accumulating them so fast that I can't spend them fast enough. All right, I've got millions of points. Between my wife and I, we've got millions and millions of points. If we stopped everything we did with credit cards right now, we could travel on the points that we have right now for the next few years. All right, we've got a ton left. So I will say probably 78% of ours haven't been used yet, but it's because we're accumulating faster than we're spending. And if you watch this channel, hopefully you are learning how to do that exact same thing in a very efficient way. The other part I want to address as well is he mentions how hard it is to redeem the points. And in my opinion, it's not that hard if you just do a little bit of work, all right? These are points that are going to save you a lot of money in the long run. We try to show you the strategies and the benefits of doing all this so you can do it in an efficient way and make sure that you're actually utilizing your points and earning points the best way possible. So in this case, it's not as complicated as he makes it sound, but I also think that he doesn't have a lot of experience in doing this. So maybe to him, for something he doesn't know, he thinks it's really, really complicated when in all reality, it's super simple. If you just do a little bit of homework, you can get a lot of travel. We've got about $50,000 worth of travel planned for this year on the points that we have, and we're still going to have a ton left over, all right? So don't let Dave tell you that you can't get a ton of benefit out of these points. It's absolutely ridiculous. So make sure you stay strong, pay attention, stay focused, have a plan, and you can absolutely get a lot of value out of these points. Let's keep going.
you do points on purpose. If it was actual money, you'd know. But with points, I got 48,000 points.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm wealthy.
And your point that was a fabulous metaphor you used in the fine print episode.
Oh,
it's like going to Chuck E. Cheese. You know, you spend $83 getting all these tickets to trade it for a 12.5-cent plastic ring. But I got me a lot of tickets.
Geez. That's your cash back.
My
and
kids
it's all
love
free,
that.
by the way. It's all free because it came with a pizza.
I tell people to give yourself cash back. Save up for your own vacation. That's what you can do when you're debt-free and you make a plan for your money. I don't have to hope at the end of the year that we have enough points to take our family on a trip.
We stayed 10,000 plus millionaires.
So let me address something here because I think this is really important, all right? He's saying that, you should save up money to pay for trips, and I totally agree that that's a perfectly fine way to live your life, all right? I did that for a long time. You would save up a bunch of money for your trips, and then you would pay a big chunk, and your bank account would go down, and then you'd have to save the money back up again, and then you would take it back out again for another trip, and you were always constantly rebuilding this wall that kept falling down, all right? You can certainly do that if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I much prefer using points and miles because for the minimal investment that I put into annual fees, compared to the value I get out in travel, it's like getting 80 or 90% off compared to paying full cash price for things. I'm getting a great deal compared to what I invest. So if you're telling me I can travel at such a high discount, I'm going to do that versus going out and spending cash and paying 100% of the cost and then trying to build up my savings again. So I'm interested to see where he goes with this. I heard Dave say the word, that they looked at a study of millionaires. My guess is he's going to say something to the effect of, people that do points and miles, or millionaires, when they interviewed them, don't say, well, I made all of my money off of credit cards, or maybe he's going to say points and miles. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see where this goes.
And 90% of them, 89% of them were first-generation rich, started with nothing. And
it's true.
Out of all 10,000 millionaires we interviewed, not a single one said, made all my money with my airline miles. They didn't say that.
Wow.
They didn't say, I gamed the system. I scammed old Capital One. Because I'm smarter than old Capital One. I mean, I'm smarter than... They spent more on that one commercial that ran one time than I made in a year, but I'm smarter than them. The arrogance of this is unbelievable. So the fact that you think you're whipping their butt, Scott, is kind of humorous. I'm sorry, son. You're not whipping their butt. They're whipping yours. This is how they built buildings taller than...
All right, so this is a really interesting point that Dave makes, and it's that, he's saying that he interviewed 10,000 millionaires, and not a single one of them said that they made all their money off points and miles and credit card rewards. Well, yeah, I didn't either, all right? I personally, my wife and I are self-made. We didn't inherit one dime from anybody. We're self-made millionaires, but we enjoy the fruits of points and miles along with that. You can do two things at one time. You can walk and chew gum at the same time, all right? So in my opinion, that's a straw man argument. Of course, no millionaire is going to come out and say that, I've made all my money from points and miles. Nobody would say that in general. But you can enjoy all those benefits and also be financially responsible enough to make yourself a self-made millionaire. So this doesn't really add up. It doesn't make sense. Of course, nobody would say that. That's a dumb argument. So he's just trying to put that out there and I think maybe feed red meat to his audience, right? They're clamoring for that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, that's just not a good argument. It doesn't make any sense overall. So let's keep going.
Your house. You would love to just trade the furniture in their lobby for your home. But no, you've paid for every bit of it. And I know you think you didn't fall for it, but you spent more, and the number of times during your life you fall off the wagon, don't pay it on time, and accidentally slip into interest, because a high percentage of credit card users eventually pay some interest.
Never do that, by the way.
And everyone thinks they're the exception. A little bit like a fishing story, like golfing story. That one time when I hit the ball just right, that one time I caught that big fish, and you spent $7 million trying to get to the point you got that one fish, and it's just like, it's the same crap.
Yeah.
So, dude, follow what millionaires do, not what broke people with theories do. And that's what people playing credit card points are. They're broke people with theories. And if that makes some of you mad out there, good. That's my spiritual gift. This is The Ramsey Show.
It's very interesting there at the end. He was talking about, the fishing story. I would say if you subscribe to this channel and do a lot of homework on credit cards, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? I mean, it's going to be really, really easy to do, and you're going to add up points really, really quickly. Another thing I want to mention as well, and this is something that kind of upsets me a little bit, but I don't get upset that much. But Dave said that basically anybody that's in the points and miles game, credit card rewards, are broke people with theories. Well, I can disprove that, first of all. I'd already told you we've been very successful. Thankfully, we're very blessed in that way, but we're also able to enjoy all the points and miles on top of that accumulated wealth as well. So, in my opinion, that is a very just negative way to look at things. That's not the case. It may be the case for most people. I'm not saying that credit cards are right for most people, all right? But if you handle your budget correctly, you sign up for the credit cards that you can afford to get with the annual fees, and you get the benefits out of it, and you continue to accumulate points, you can live a very good life with points and miles, credit card rewards, while also having a financially responsible budget in hand as well. And that's what we have, all right? So it can be done. That is a very blanket statement that doesn't add up to everybody. And our job on this channel is to show you how to be the exception that Dave talks about. I think you are the exception as well. Just by watching this video, you are taking the time to educate yourself on credit cards, points, miles, travel money, all those kind of things. You're going to come out ahead much further than people that just get something in the mail, they sign up for the card, they spend money, they pay interest, they don't pay things on time. You don't have to be that person. Just do a little bit of homework, and over the course of time, you'll get better and better at this, and you won't fall into a situation where you're paying interest or you're getting yourself in a financially bad situation, all right? So just be vigilant, pay attention, and you'll come out fine. Let me know what you think about this video and my reaction to it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Dave's right. I don't really care who you agree with, but let me know what you think about this, all right? There is certainly some cost associated with playing the points and miles game with credit cards. If you want to do serious points and miles accumulation, you do have to drop some money on annual fees, but if you're smart about it, you can budget appropriately for those and make sure that you are utilizing all your points to get the max value out of each and every point. So I'm on the other side of the fence here. Again, I'm a former Dave Ramsey coach. I know all about this. I've done financial coaching under the Dave Ramsey program. I know it inside and out. He's got some good points. And also we have a lot of new people in the Points and Miles community that watch this channel. So if you have any opinions on this strongly, one way or another, leave those down in the comments, because I think it helps new people, especially if you're coming from the Dave Ramsey program like I was, to see, okay, why did you make the switch? Or have you been in the Dave Ramsey coaching program before and you made the change? Are you a fan of his show? And in particular, what do you like most about his show? What do you dislike the most? Let us know. This is just an ongoing conversation. I think a lot of people would find it helpful if we got a lot of perspectives from people on Dave Ramsey, because he's got a lot of opinions, very polarizing opinions sometimes, and it's good to see what everyone has to say. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to be awesome. Give me a big thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications for alerts, and when you click on the Brandon Boyd Show, click, 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 you're going to get the latest information on credit cards, points and miles, travel, money, finance, and everything in between, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. We'll see you soon.